Welcome to RTV Chit-Chat, Raising the Village's informal podcast. Raising the Village, or RTV, is a non-profit organization that partners with last-mile communities in rural Uganda to end ultra-poverty in our generation. I'm your host, Sila Alija, and I'm a part of RTV's small but mighty communications team. In this podcast, we will explore various topics about the work we do, have interesting conversations with our stakeholders, and share our experiences of working in partnership with last-mile communities. We recorded this episode to mark the International Women's Day. In this episode, we continue our conversation with Jolly from Uganda and Nicole from Toronto to talk about how women staff at RTV are doing remarkable work in implementing our programs in last-mile villages. Happy International Women's Day. We want to take this time to really appreciate and honor the women identified staff, especially on our programs team. All of our, project assistants and officers who work in the villages, who travel to far-flung areas and who navigate through challenging terrains, and our women project staff in particular, they have shined in their work, which reflects in the program performance of the villages and the clusters that they're working with. And I really want to give the floor to Jolly right away and just start with Jolly, your own personal story. Can you give us some background as to how you started working with RTV? I know that you've grown within the organization from being a frontline project implementation person to a district leader today. So what has that journey been like for you, especially as a woman?
Well, thank you, Sila. I joined RTV as a project officer. That, of course, it was after I saw an advert and I applied. I went through all the procedures and luckily enough, I was offered the job. And I joined Kisoro as project officer. And immediately I started. I tried to do like some kind of moving around within the communities before I could go for the direct work. That was the orientation. And it was a community work that I really loved because that was my profession. I did adult and community education. So I actually found myself in a place where I wanted to be. When I started, I was given a cluster that had 6 villages. I was trying to adopt it to RTV methodology. But by the time I joined in Kisoro, I was the only lady there. The rest were men. And from that day, I realized it really didn't require much manpower for someone to perform, but it needed one to be on ground, one to be in the community, to fit in their shoes, to sensitize them, to show them the right picture and the right direction of what they needed to do. But on my side, I thought it needs going every day, which was not the case. It only needed a good direction within the community to make sure that the communities are on board, to make sure that they own their projects, which I myself could do. But before, I thought I couldn't. I thought this was a job for men because, they would move every day on a motorcycle. And for me, I was being ridden every day by a border guy every day. I felt what they are doing, I can do. Fine, they are riding, I'm being ridden. But what they can do, I can do. It's all about how I've entered in the community. How have I managed to have this community on my side? How do I make sure that they gain confidence in whatever I'm saying? And how do I make sure that they've understood? Fine, there were some challenges I kind of faced because I was being ridden. I would find some communities were kind of hesitant. Some leaders were not supportive. And you would look at them and you see as if they don't want to really support and as if they're intending it. I had to learn. I had to ensure that I bring them on board. I make sure we are moving together. I kind of like changed their mind during the community entry and also during the trainings that was about financial literacy. I made sure I changed their mind in that they would think now the present, not only the past. I moved on with them, and I at least saw very many changing, even women themselves. And it's the same as, of course, the women we're having with RTV. Sometimes they feel this is work for men. It's all about you having confidence. It is all about resilience. You yourself, when you're doing your project, you feel the passion you're doing for the community. You feel I should really motivate this community to move from step 1 to step 2.
You just mentioned going to these communities with the bike, and for those who don't know, I want to sort of quickly mention that quite a large portion of our work consists of, traveling to these rural areas to interact with communities, and it's super critical for field workers like Jolly to be able to ride a motorbike. And I want to sort of ask specifically, did you know how to ride the bike before? Did you learn on the job? Do you think this is a barrier for other women?
Well, when I joined RTV, I didn't know how to ride. And I just learned how to ride recently, and I can ride for short distances, but with time, I know I'm going to be perfect. In Uganda, culturally, it's like a taboo for women to ride. However, to my side, living along the culture issue, I've seen very many riding, and I've also, for the short time I've been riding, I feel comfortable and I don't see any issue with it. It's all about putting this confidence into you, and you feel that I can do it. When you can ride, you can be able to access anything by yourself. For instance, when we are in clusters and we are monitoring, sometimes you have to leave a border guy to go, and he'll come back to pick you. But if you're riding, you'll move with your motorcycle to the community, park it somewhere, do your monitoring. After the monitoring, you come back and ride and go back, because I have my means of transport. So to me, I really encourage ladies to ride. It doesn't have any harms.
I just want to quickly sort of touch upon our program model as well, because women empowerment in Uganda is an important aspect of our work, and we focus a lot on gender equity and community leadership as well. So, Nicole, I want to ask, is it true that in our partner villages where more women are in leadership positions, do we really see improved income outcomes or more positive responses from within the community? Is that the case?
Yeah, so I think some of RTV's work is to create opportunities for women and youth to participate in community-based leadership positions. Oftentimes it is largely men who take on these leadership roles. But at RTV, we see about 38 new leadership opportunities that are developed in each partner village based on the work that we do with them. And we find that women do take on more roles. So we try to do like a gender equal divide in community leadership positions. But it's true, and I think there's been a number of organizations and studies that have been conducted where when you invest in women, you invest in those who invest in everybody else. And it's true, we do find that for our community-based leadership positions where women are involved, they work more towards community improvement. So not only are they supporting their own households by making sure that basic needs are met, healthcare, education for their children, but that communities as a whole are improving. And we see this largely through asset-based development, through the purchase of livestock largely. But we also see it through small cooperatives that are being developed amongst women, those who sell tomato fruits, onions, garlic. So they do create cooperatives, and they do start small businesses too. So we see them purchasing chairs that they rent out for community events. And there's one community specifically that resonates, but they started a catering business, and now they're catering funerals and weddings. And that's started largely by women, both from an anecdotal perspective, but also through our household surveys that we conduct every year. that when you empower women and you put them in leadership positions, not only do their households benefit, but the community at large.
That's great. I'll jump back to Jolly, recognizing that I know you were one of the award winners in 2020. RTV gives out awards to staff every year to recognize some of the achievements. And Jolly, I know you received 2 awards for Most Improved Cluster in Household Income, right? And highest savings in the cluster that you were leading. And I know that in the same year, you also had a baby and were on maternity leave. So, I mean, that's amazing. What's your secret for success? Quite a lot of achievements in one year, both professionally and personally.
Well, thank you. The first thing I value and respect so much is teamwork. But my staff, my fellow officers whom we work with, are the ones also that we do this together. They celebrate so much and they feel they can do something else. So it motivates them. When they achieve one goal, it motivates them and leads them to another goal. So it is not only myself, but it is the team spirit that is within also the team, as well as the empowerment that we give to the community members. Well, I was in maternity leave. I left, I think, in August. I trusted the team that was on ground, and I was not scared at all.
That's great.
It is, but Sarah, when you've empowered your team on ground, it's very simple. It's all about empowering your team on ground, in that you don't need to only have everything to yourself. It was fine. It looks not easy, but when you've empowered your team, it becomes very simple for you.
Spoken quite wisely by a district leader. Do you have any words of advice for other women who want to follow your path, or who want to sort of build a career in a similar type of environment or organization?
To the women out there, really, I advise them, the only thing they do, I advise them is to just be confident and to feel that they have the capability to achieve what they've set.
It is hard work to be on a bike for sometimes up to 3 hours to get to a community is definitely not a simple task. And Jolly mentioned kind of sometimes working with communities that are not open to change is something that's heartbreaking sometimes, but it's also Jolly kind of spoke about like your resilience and the importance of having confidence and being able to kind of push forward. And I think for the women on our team, what we find is that they advance very quickly. So oftentimes we recruit people as a project assistant, and they work their way up rather quickly within the organization. And we find that a lot of our clusters do well when they are led by women. So there's clearly something there that we probably need to look at a little bit more. But I would also encourage women to apply. And even if it does say riding a bike would be considered advantageous, don't let that deter you from applying to work with RTV. We are expanding, we are growing. And we encourage women to apply for our positions in all of our departments. But a huge thank you for the team that we do have on the ground that are leading us and making things happen both within our offices and at the community level.
Yeah, and I really, really want to thank you for being here today and for talking to me about these issues and about your experiences. And I really hope that on a day like International Women's Day, these conversations might take it a step further in helping people understand why it's important to do work like this and why it's important for women to be involved.
Well,
so yeah.
if I can do it, that means even another woman can do it. We are all women. So if I can, why not the other one? So we can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great message to end with. We can do it.
Thank you everyone for listening. If you want to find out more about the work we do, we encourage you to visit our website and follow us on all 3 of our social media channels. Our website and socials are linked in the description box below. Thanks again for listening, and we hope you'll join us again next time.